This is, of course, we are live on Gradwine's YouTube channel and my personal LinkedIn as well. Those of you who are, on YouTube, send me a connection request on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to connect. And I keep putting out quite a bit of content on, study abroad and other education stuff. Not as much as I'd like, but you can do that. And contrarily, those of you who are on my LinkedIn, follow our YouTube channel. We do some, very, very good grounded and relevant content. This is an Ask Me Anything session, as usual. And we, are going to take all your questions, as many as possible, over the next 45 minutes or so, and, get to answering your questions. As with any live, we cannot get to all your questions because there's so many, and it's greatly appreciated that you trust us and keep asking us your questions. But if we cannot answer your question, or if it's something that needs a more detailed, nuanced answer, like a deep profile evaluation, you can always schedule a free consultation call with us on gradwine.com, or by using the link that my colleague is going to be putting out periodically. That free consultation is absolutely free. My only request is, if you schedule it, show up for the call, because it certainly will be valuable. So let's head straight to your questions. With CGPA 7.9, 2 journal papers and 2 research internships and no GRE, can I still apply to MSCS at Virginia Tech and UC Boulder? You can most certainly apply. Whether you get in or no is a separate question. I think it would be pushing it a little bit, but that being said, we just put out a recent video on the Gradwine channel where we talked about one of our past paying customers who made it to Virginia Tech with a 7.5, 7.6 as well. I'm not saying that it happens all the time, but it also depends on the impact factor of your research papers, of your journal papers, where they've been published, whether all your work is in line with a coherent long-term goal, and of course your undergraduate institution as well. The GRE is not a huge deal, but the GPA is slightly on the lower side compared to what these universities would want. But once again, like I've been saying on our lives in the past as well, that this year the competition is significantly lower for US universities, and eventually when there's a slight lull in terms of the job scene, or the political situation or whatever, there usually is an up, right? So this is a good time to give it a shot. If there's any year where you can gun for a slightly better university than you would typically get into, then this is the year for you to do that. But that being said, it needs to be done with the right application materials, so go for it. Can you please suggest some MS and CS colleges with a 7.7 GPA, average profile and great ROI? I'm thinking of CSU, Long Beach, and Sunny Albany. These are not good places at all. I think a 7.7 GPA is, again, not bad at all. And of course, I don't know what you mean by an average profile. That's very subjective. So you will need to get that evaluated in great detail by our team, which you can do through the free consultation call. But just on the face of it, if you're looking at CSU, Long Beach, and SUNY Albany, then I think you're really underselling yourself, especially this year. There is no point going to such poorly tiered institutions. In terms of great ROI, definitely look at San Jose State, definitely look at Sunny Buffalo. These might be very gettable as well. The issue, of course, with San Jose is that you will have to get a WS evaluation, but if you do, then it most certainly is worth it. But at this point, I don't think you're looking at the right tier of universities. And for all of you guys, this is your chance to gun for something better. Don't settle for these typical consultancy tie-up places like a CSU, Long Beach, and Albany and all that. Gun for better places, push your profile. That if you get into a better university once in your life, it can change how the rest of your life looks, right? So don't ever discount that. How is Brown University for MS? Brown is Ivy League, and that's why I ask people not to get very carried away by the Ivy League tag. It's a great university without doubt, but honestly, for most of the degrees that most people on my live, or most people applying from India, would consider, right? It could be CS, MIS, MEM, data science, computer engineering, industrial engineering, mechanical engineering, biotechnology, bioinformatics, all of these very usual suspects, sometimes finance, financial engineering. For all of these, you will definitely find better and cheaper alternatives than Brown with better return on investment, right? So it's a good university, yes, but it does not feature in the best universities for specific programs or most of the programs that you're applying to. For example, Brown has an iteration of the engineering management program called Prime, but I often don't recommend it very highly at all, because the job opportunities after the program, because of the way the curriculum is set up, is very limited. Is NEU worth it for MS and CS? Heard it will be difficult to get visa for NEU. To be honest, NEU, you will hear stories of people getting visas and not getting visas because it's such a large class that all different kinds of profiles get in, right? And therefore, I don't think it's a university that will, create a red flag for your visa. So UT Dallas, Arizona State, Northeastern, and again, Northeastern definitely better than Arizona State and UT Dallas, I would say, marginally better at least. All of these places are not red flags for visa, but it's not top tier, and the class size being large, makes me not recommend it very highly at this point in time. Kauri is a great place at Northeastern, but not when job markets are tough. You want to be in smaller classes, but visa will not be a problem. Is it worth applying to UC Irvine for MS in software engineering along with MCS? If the university policy allows you to apply for multiple programs, and a lot of universities allow you to do that, it should be absolutely fine because there are a lot of overlapping career outcomes between both those degrees. So it's absolutely fine for you to do that. Is it possible to get into a top university if you started working on applications at this point in time? I would say so. Look, while starting early definitely gives you an advantage. You can streamline your applications a lot better. You can apply early to a lot of places and maximize your chances. This is a year where, again, the open rates of applications, and this I've heard directly from admissions committees because I have the privilege of having the opportunity to interact with them because we keep exchanging notes a lot, right? The application open rates as of October, right? And the entire month of November has also passed, but nothing much has changed, honestly. The application open rates as of the month of October were down by 50%. So there are not too many people who started their applications, and people are going to be applying a little late in general this year, right? Due to all the noise, the unnecessary noise rather surrounding it. So you can start working on it. And honestly, while timing is important, quality is more important, right? I've had people who started their application 3 days before the Duke deadline, and they got into Duke while working with us, right? So I wouldn't stretch it to that sort of an extreme. But if you do the materials properly and you hit the deadlines, there is no reason why in this year you cannot crack a very, very good program. Again, if you're applying to CS, I'd hurry up a little bit more because, yeah, the deadlines are upon us. Is UCF a good choice for MS and CS? I'm assuming that is Central Florida. Absolutely not. Florida as a state, is okay. I mean, it's not terrible, but again, not a great, location in terms of, job opportunities or a strong tech ecosystem. It's not bad whatsoever, and it's not like Central Florida is a good university in that case. So if you're going for that tier of universities, you might as well be in a good location at least. All right, just highlighting this in case you guys want to send me a LinkedIn request. Honestly, you just type in my name, you'll find me, because nobody has such a complicated last name. But otherwise, you can just use this link and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I keep posting content. Maybe text me if you wish. What are all the good top and mid-tier universities for MS in industrial engineering? There are so many. You have Georgia Tech, you have the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor, you have UT Austin, you have Columbia. I'd say all of these are tier one. UC Berkeley has an iteration of it. I would also say UIUC is very underrated. I'd say UIUC in terms of industrial engineering is again in the top tier. Middle of the pack, you have North Carolina State, you have University of Southern California. So quite a few, right? But which ones are a fit for you? Which ones are a fit in terms of budget? Will make a big difference overall. All right, my son got a 9.15 GPA. Very nice. Interested to study in USA in artificial intelligence, but mid-December only to planning to write GRE exam. Is it possible to join in 2026? Quite a few programs have made the GRE optional right now. Honestly, this year, if you have a very good GPA, not having a GRE will not affect your application negatively in places where the test is optional. So for those, you might as well start working on the application materials, and you can work with us. We'll identify those for you, and you can apply. And you can apply on time just like everybody else, even though you're starting late, right? Only universities where the GRE is a hard requirement, which will be few typically, are places that you would want to attempt the GRE for. But I would not start the entire process only after finishing the GRE, considering that we are in December, right? Tomorrow, December starts. So start with the application process now for the places where it's optional, because the GPA is good. There is one hard metric in the application that is strong. So the admissions committees will not hold it against you if you're skipping the GRE and going GRE optional. All right, GPA with 8.99 till seventh semester. I have a GRE of 326, but only one research paper and two 1 month internships. Am I a good fit for the good fit for the top 20 unis? For what program, my friend? You have to ask me. If you're looking at a computer science, yes, possible. Your GPA is great. So you will want to apply to slightly more GPA centric universities which don't favor work experience much. That is something that we can figure out for you through our shortlisting service. Right, so schedule that free consultation call with us. I'm just assuming for a CS and saying it. If you're saying mechanical engineering top 10 is possible, industrial engineering top 10 is possible, MEM top 5 is possible. So what are you applying to? Right, toughest is CS. Even for that, considering the competition this year, with the right application materials, and that is key. If you write bad application materials, or you write application materials that you think are good but are bad, you're not going to get it, right? So don't lose that golden chance. Even for a CS, a top 20 might be doable this year. How likely am I to get into Virginia Tech MS and CS without any research papers published? I applied to Virginia Tech because of RA and TA. See, I'm no one to say somebody can get in or not get in, and I don't know anything about the rest of your profile, right? I don't know what your GPA is, whether you've done a research internship, if not a research paper. But generally, if you're applying to the thesis track program for Virginia Tech without research or solid research experience, it's going to be difficult. That being said, I would not be surprised if you make it as well. But generally, I'm only reflecting the past theme of students who've gotten in through us for Virginia Tech. And there's a video with a couple of students who've been admitted to Virginia Tech MS and CS. You can they got in with a $2,700 stipend, right? A $27 per semester stipend, I believe. Right, and fully funded. So you can check out that interview they did with us. It was one of our students. The name is just blacking out on me, but check it out. But generally, for an MS in CS at Virginia Tech without research, it's going to be a little difficult. If you're applying to the M engineering, maybe you'd have a better shot. All right, I got admits for MEM from USC, TAMU, NEU, UMISH. Is it which UMISH? UMISH does not have an engineering management program. I'm waiting for Purdue, Duke, Johns Hopkins, and Dartmouth. Given the admits, if I'm to choose, which one would you suggest? I'm interested in supply chain management, and PM, I'm assuming, is project management, because if you're looking at SCM and product management, then it's a little bit of a muddle, right? These are fairly strong departures from each other. From the admits that you have in hand, I would say Texas A&M is by far your best bet if you want to break into supply chain and operations heavy roles. For the ones that you're waiting for, perhaps Purdue would be your best bet, followed by Dartmouth. UMCP or University of Wisconsin Madison for MS and DS. They're both very much the same level, I would say, in terms of tier of university reputation and all things considered. I would give College Park the edge purely because it's the slightly better location. All right, I have a GPA of 3.3, couple of internships with a good SOP and LOR. Can I get some good unis for MEM? I don't know how you converted your GPA. It's much easier for us to figure out if your university has given it in a 10-point scale, because that's what most Indian students have. I mean, honestly, I've had people with a 3.3 GPA get into Duke as well in the past, right? If the rest of the profile is good. And a good SOP and LOR is subjective. You can't, I mean, you could assume that it's good essays, but the admissions committee should like it, right? So, how do we judge that? I mean, we deciding for ourselves that the SOP is good, but above mid tier like NEU or NCSU, once again, the likelihood of getting into an NCSU is far lower than the likelihood of getting into an NEU. They're not at the same level for us to compare as well, right? But I mean, again, I've had similar profiles get into Duke, I've had similar profiles get into UIUC. Again, this was way back about 4 years ago. I had a couple of people with similar GPS get into Purdue as well, but the competition has increased significantly. But again, these are some names that people have gotten in through us in the past with really solid materials, right? That's important. How is Portland State University for MS and ASE? Again, ask yourselves this question: what is good about it? Right? Is it in a great location? No. Is it very highly reputed? No. Does it have any great co-op opportunities? No. So why would you consider it? Right? Like middle of nowhere. I wouldn't look at it. All right. I'm a graduate of NIT Durgapur, CSE 8.2, GRE 333. Nice. 6 months intern, currently working as an SDE for 1.5 years. Please tell me if I can get into TAMU, University of Florida, UCSD. TAMU is a very GPS centric school. TAMU, USC are very GPS centric schools. Even though it's fantastic for return on investment, I would not apply to Texas A&M with a lower GPA, especially for CS, because they're really obsessed about it. You might be better off replacing it with something like a UIUC. Even though one would argue that UIUC is definitely better ranked or better reputed purely for computer science, but they for the MCS program, it definitely is easier to get into than Texas A&M, considering the GPA in hand, right? So that's how I would look at it. University of Florida, UCSD. Again, UCSD would be a little too ambitious, but go for it. You have to apply to ambitious universities, right? At Gradvine, most of our lists are more the ambitious end, because we push your materials to be higher quality so that you can crack your dream university. We don't like to fill up your university shortlist with safeties, because what's the point of getting into three safeties? You can attend only one at the end of the day, right? So we cover your safeties for sure with one max two options, but we ask you to push more on the ambitious end. But even within the ambitious end, you'll have to look at non-GPS centric schools, right? So you have to make a rational sort of bet overall. All right, best colleges in Texas when we consider the average college fee for AI course with 8.9 GPA, 7 IELTS. Look, I'm going to cover both AI and CS because honestly, if you look at AI programs, right, CS programs give you a much broader elective pool for you to uh, potentially specialize and in fact do even deeper coursework in AI, right? A typical AI program will have one or two courses in AI ethics and stuff. Which, while AI ethics are important, is it a big precursor for you to get a job overall? Maybe not, right? While AI courses are good, I would not discount CS courses completely, considering your GPA is good, right? So if you are open to considering both, then I mean, look, Texas A&M definitely comes into the conversation. UT Austin would be, again, I don't know which undergrad institution you are from and what kind of projects you have, but if you're an 8.9 from any of the IITs, NITs, or BITS, then maybe even UT Austin would be worth a shot. Rice is a very underrated university as well, right? It doesn't come into the conversation at all, but Rice is a terrific option as well overall. And of course, I can't recommend UT Dallas very strongly, but if you're keen on Texas, it's a good safety to have. All right, thoughts on MSAI program at University of Maryland College Park. I don't have enough data. It's very new. Until a graduating batch comes out of it, and we've spoken to them enough, we will not have great insight into it. But generally, if it's University of Maryland at College Park, it should be at least decent in the worst case. I'm also considering applying to some of the top universities in Canada. Is Canada not worth it? Don't go to Canada. There is nothing happening in Canada. I have at least 20-25 students who have finished either a master's or an undergrad in Canada who are applying to the US now because nothing is happening on the ground. So don't let this news about the US tell you the grass is greener on the other side in Canada, where it has been terrible for a number of years now. Suddenly things are not going to change and economies are not going to be transformed. right? All of a sudden UK is not going to become fantastic because you're hearing bad news about the US. All of a sudden the Irish job market is not going to balloon and have so many job opportunities open just because there's bad news, and a lot of it unjustified about the US. But definitely not worth looking at Canada. If you really want to look at alternatives, look at the Netherlands as an alternative. At least it has been a decent job market for a number of years. Though I fear with the number of people flooding these other markets from India itself, what the situation is going to be 2.5 years later once they graduate, and job markets which are frankly not expanded is scary at this point in time. What are good and mid-tier universities for MS in industrial engineering? I can't do shortlists on here, my friend. If you want shortlists, you'll have to take up a service with us, or at least get your profile evaluated on the consultation call that you can use using the link being provided by my team. Is it worth applying to Columbia MSCS with an 8 to 8.5 GPA? Between 8 and 8.5 itself, there's a range, right? The lowest GPA I've seen getting through us was about an 8.5, 8.6, right? But again, that is from a tier 1 institution. So between 8 and 8.5 also, it's a different. Is it worth applying? Yes. Would you spend so much on Columbia? Also, yes, because the return on investment has been terrific in terms of the rate at which people have been getting jobs. How is UC Santa Cruz for MS and CS? Why have you dropped so much? Right, there is a whole middle tier and a whole world of universities that lie between Columbia and a UC Santa Cruz. Is UC Santa Cruz good? It's okay, but I wouldn't bother with it. Can we get MSCS at NYU Tandon if I gone to MS Computer Engineering this last year? Now I'm worried because I'm worried that you are applying to MS in computer science with an ECE undergrad. If you're doing that, please understand that you're taking a big risk, because if you don't have four prerequisites, which is database management systems, data structures, algorithms, object oriented programming, and operating systems, if you're missing even one of these, then getting into a pure MS and CS program is going to be very, very difficult. Now, will you get into MS and CS if you gone to MS and CE last year? That is independent, right? This is a separate application. That was a separate application. All right. There are a whole bunch of questions coming in, guys. And again, honestly, I've got about 25 minutes on this live, maybe 20 to 25 minutes, and there's no way I'm going to get to all of them. But there's a critical time in the year. Schedule your free consultation calls with us, and you can get these questions answered one on one. And getting it done soon is critical at this point in time. It's just that we are flooded with so many questions, and I'll also have to hop on to another call at 7:15 because there are paying customers at this time of the year that I have to tend to. Again, my apologies in advance because I'm not going to be able to get to all of your questions. But please do schedule your calls, because you always have an avenue at Gradvine to get advice at your convenience. You just have to make the effort to press the button, schedule the call, and show up. All right. JHU MSCM, very good program. Very, very good program. 100% placement rate, median salary is between 90 to 130K. Outstanding program. What else do we want to know about it? How is MS in Information Systems offered by the iSchool at the University of Texas at Austin? Typically for international students, I recommend the ITM program a little bit more in terms of career outcomes. So consider that instead of the iSchool program. MIS at UC Berkeley offers scholarships considering the program is expensive. Rare, very, very rare. It's a professional program. So I haven't seen too many scholarships coming in. But again, very well worth the expense, because if you find it, I believe at least last year the median salaries after UC Berkeley among MIS programs was the highest. NYU Tandon for MS in data science, what are the placements like? Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. All right. Sorry about that. I'm not aware of the data science program at Tandon. Usually, MS in data science at NYU is offered by the CDS, right? So that program is fantastic. I'd say it's probably a top three program in the US overall. Also, very challenging to get into. So I'm not aware when you're referring to the NYU Tandon program because I only know the one from CDS. One moment. Right. Um, I'm planning for MS in mechanical engineering at UC Riverside or UC Irvine and Purdue for fall 26. How can be the market? Very, very wide range of universities like UC Irvine, worthwhile considering. UC Riverside, absolutely not. Purdue is a great bet, but the likelihood of getting into all three is significantly different. And in general, if you're going mech, I would always want to explore whether you considered industrial engineering as a discipline, and if you've considered whether you're interested in it or not. Because with core mech, the job market can always be dicey, and I see a lot of core MS and mech guys trying to take more electives with the operations research and operations management and industrial side and pivot because they find often that the job market is stronger there, and the job market in operations and supply chain has been incredibly strong in the US, right, over the last couple of years, to be honest. So I would think about that interest, maybe discuss it with us. But of course, if you're passionate about your core field, then I wouldn't look at UC Riverside at least. UC Irvine and Purdue are good, but I don't know what your profile is, right? You need a balanced list of 8 universities at least. And if you're going for mech, you want to be in a top 15 program. Otherwise, you getting a job is going to be very, very difficult. So that's how I would consider it. Riverside, obviously not, probably not. It is shown to be a paid consultation of $30. I didn't get $30 for any free consultation till now. I wish I did. We'd have made a ton of money every time you guys schedule a call and don't show up. So Gradvine free consultation is free unless something has changed. But there've been a bunch of folks on this live itself who scheduled a call for free. Trust me. It is not a paid consultation call. That being said, we are actually considering making that first consultation call, paid from next year onwards, at something like a 49 or a 99 rupees, because people just schedule calls and don't show up, which is highly disrespectful, right? So if you're scheduling a call, show up. If you don't want to schedule, don't schedule. That's fine. But it's a valuable call in the end, right? So yeah, definitely not $30. But yeah, I would have made tons of money if each free consultation call was $30 by this point in time. All righty. NYU Tandon or NEU or University of Chicago for MS and CS. Very very different tier of universities overall. I mean, University of Chicago is fantastic. It's called what is known as a public Ivy, and a fantastic program. Northeastern least preference, NYU at number two. Sunny Buffalo versus ASU MSCS, which one should I opt for? Between the two, again, maybe there are better universities that are in your prospects or your range or your profile, so we don't know about that. But among the two, Sunny Buffalo, for sure, better bet. Will not having a GRE score impact my applications for DS programs with a GPA around 9? Honestly, no. If you're applying to places where the GRE is optional, then it won't be an issue at all because your GPA is strong and they're not going to look at an additional hard metric to try and gauge your aptitude as such. Something about Rutgers, Penn State, and Lehigh for MS in industrial. Penn State, bad location. Lehigh, more known for undergraduate education. I would not recommend it. Rutgers is decent. Duke MEM round two possible, or are we at a disadvantage of applying late? No, we made all our students apply to round one, but honestly, the application volumes are way down, and Duke MEM is a very large class, so it's like 160, 170 people. Therefore, they have to give admits to at least 220, 230 people. So, judging by overall the number of people who applied in round one, I don't think it's a huge disadvantage applying for round two. So, you can absolutely go for it. Is Penn State good for BS in computer science? Very good, very safe as well. Very high acceptance rate for bachelor's degrees at least. I'm considering MIS at TAMU as a safe choice, but I want to stay in the technical field. Will technical recruiters discriminate me from being for an MIS program? No. And MIS at TAMU is a highly technical program in itself, so you will not be discriminated, especially if you want to break into overlapping roles to see as like an SDE. It's not a problem at all. But do keep in mind that Texas A&M MIS requires a WES evaluation. So that is a little bit of time and money that you'll have to invest, and considering we are in December, if you've not started the WS evaluation process, that is going to take time. 8.9 GPA, 1 year of internship in AI research, 167 quant, working as AI ML engineer at a US based product company. Do I have a decent chance at Georgia Tech MSCS, TAMU, MCS, UIUC, MCS? Yes, all worth a shot. All worth a shot. Interesting question. I have a Bachelor of Arts in English degree with no tech background. Is it possible to switch to a STEM master's program? I have a CGPA of 3.7 on a scale of 5. Um, and I have a 2 year gap. There are a couple of STEM based master's programs you can shift to based on your interest. One is an MIM, which is a master's in management, which people from any background can apply to, and they're all STEM designated. The second is a master's in marketing, which is again STEM designated, which you can make it to as well, irrespective of what background you come from. These are two that exist with a STEM extension and have decent job prospects overall. If you'd like us to help with the process, we've done it for tons of people in the past. So do get in touch with us. We got people with a similar background into Johns Hopkins MS in marketing program with a $60,000 scholarship, right? $60,000 scholarship, waived off the tuition fee straight away. So do consider reaching out to us. Can I take a risk and skip GRE to apply for MEM at Purdue, Duke, JHU as someone from a top 5 NIT, chemical engineering, 7.01 GPA, work experience of 1.3 years in supply chain and planning at Accenture? I've had the privilege of interacting in great detail with program directors at Purdue, Eric Vanderwoode, who was at the Gradvine office, met a bunch of Gradvine students, and we spent a lot of time exchanging notes about applications. Duke as well, Patrick Gunch, new program director, and was in touch with Dr. Christie as well, who was the old program director, and JHU Trevor Mackesy as well. Why am I telling you this? I heard from them straight away that if you're skipping the GRE this year, they are not going to discriminate against you. If you believe a score adds great value to a profile, submit it and they'll look at it. But not having a score is not a huge deal. Go ahead and apply, but with the right application materials. And that is something you want to reach out to us for. How is the market for industrial engineering? Very strong. Very interestingly, right? We had very popular person that you might have heard of, UDJ, right? Pritesh Jagani, UDJ. I'm sure you follow his content on YouTube as well. Visit us in Hyderabad and we hung out and we exchanged notes, right, about what the job market is, because he does a lot of the job search stuff, right? So we love exchanging notes with the ecosystem so that we can give advice to you guys as well. He's saying that industrial engineering is a degree that he's loving at this point in time in terms of career outcomes, especially because it flies under the radar. It's not as glamorous. It's existed from so long. But there are universities that are fantastic, that are reasonably priced, that have been giving such good career outcomes overall. And it's a degree that does the business, right, without the glamour and the hype and all the stuff of writing on LinkedIn and stuff, right? Because it's not about product and something very exciting like Microsoft and Tesla and Nvidia and Amazon and all of this, right? We will get into older, more traditional companies, and they've been doing very, very well. Industrial engineering, strong degree, always has been, is even stronger now, even if the market corrects itself. Right now, it's at great peak right now, because a lot of companies are trying to integrate AI and tech interventions and automations into their supply chains to a great extent. Has been happening since COVID, and the work keeps continuing constantly. Even if it comes back to normal, industrial engineering has been a degree that's given solid career outcomes. So anybody from a chemical, mechanical, electrical, production engineering background most certainly can consider it, including automotive and aerospace guys. SJSU for MEM, 7.7 GPA, 308 GRE, 2 years work in business analytics. Very good program, low cost, high ROI, great location, but requires a WES evaluation, and maybe you can gun for better schools this year, right? Better reputed schools. All right, let's see what other questions. I got into Purdue Industrial Engineering. Is it good after 4 5 years experience? Go for it. Blindly go for it. You'll be more than fine. In UIUC, full status admission IELTS requirements for MS and EC is 7.5, whereas limited status admission minimum is 6.5. What's the difference? And my IELTS score is 6.5. Will I get a chance? Yeah, they will still admit you, but they will ask you to take their own internal test or retake the IELTS and submit the score. It will not have a bearing on your admission. As long as you cover the minimum status, that will not be a basis for rejection overall. But you do have to prove your English proficiency by either taking a test from them or by retaking your test. But for now, if you're missing the deadline or the deadline is close, apply with the score. You should be okay. All right, Purdue, USC, Georgia Tech, Cornell, NYU for MSIE, 95 TOEFL, 3.88 GPA, and 2 summer internships. Good options, all very good options. But you are missing better safeties at a lower cost than an NYU, which I don't recommend very highly for IE. It's good for certain other courses, not for IE. Okay, important things to consider for LOR and SOP for MS and CS. I'm going to cover this as an important things to consider and include for SOPs in general, right? And because all SOPs, whether you're applying for CS, IE, MEM, wherever, all these SOPs need to be there. And I did a video on this, right? Your SOP or your statement of purpose is useless if it's missing one out of the three elements. You have to have all three elements in a statement of purpose for it to be good. After that, whatever story you write, whatever you write about your projects, all of that is secondary. There are three critical elements that need to be there for a statement of purpose. Number one, very, very specific goals. You need to be very, very clear and focused on the job title or job role or the kinds of jobs you want to do and the sector that you want to work in, right? You may want to work as a software engineer at a particular kind of company in a particular sector. You might want to work on as an ML or an AI engineer and maybe a healthcare firm or something else, right? That specificity needs to be there. Second thing, all your projects and internships that you're mentioning in the statement of purpose should be in line with your goals. It should seem like you took one after the other, and because you were pursuing your goals, you're trying to upskill yourselves, you're trying to find out how you can create an impact within that sector. So projects and internships written in the STAR format: situation, task, action, result, and mention only those that are relevant to your goal. I've had successful SOPs where the entire SOP had only one project because it was so very important and relevant to the goal. I've had SOPs that have been super successful where there were 5 different projects mentioned as well. But all need to show that you've been working in a particular direction. That alignment is critical, right? You have to tell a story. You can't do a listing of projects. I did this, I did that, I did this also, I did that also. SOP is not an extended resume in line with a very specific goal. Number three, what skills have you gained through your projects? What skills do you lack at this point in time? How specifically are various offerings from the university going to help you cover the skill set gaps that you've identified through the experiences that you have, which are your projects, internships, or research papers. If any of these three elements is not sufficiently done in your statement of purpose, then whatever you write, however beautiful the language, however nicely you write a quote in the beginning, whatever inspiring thing you write about your childhood and background, it does not matter. Adcoms care about these three very, very specific things. Second, recommendation letters. Recommendation letters should be on a concept called show, don't tell, right? What does that mean? A recommendation letter cannot be piles and piles of praise. He's good at this, he's good at that, he's great at that, he's, God himself in human form or herself in human form. Doesn't work out, right? When you're writing about the qualities, write about two or three qualities only, and write a specific example of how these qualities were shown. You need to be able to paint that picture in the recommendation letter. Otherwise it's useless just writing a bunch of different qualities, right? Start out by giving context in terms of what the nature of relationship with the recommender and you is. Second, write about specific qualities in a chronological order, maybe the earliest ones mentioned first, and what they've been observing, most recently being mentioned last, and examples for how they've observed those qualities. Finally, conclude with why they believe you have strong potential for success in the program. This is basically, in a nutshell, what you need in a recommendation letter and or a statement of purpose. And this is where technicality comes in. You need a mentor who, or a person reviewing it, who knows the technical ins and outs of the degree that you are applying to. Typically, if you have somebody who's finished a master's degree or is studying a master's degree at a top-notch university right now, they're going to be able to do it very, very easily. Just 15-20 minutes of their time overall can transform the statement of purpose, because they give you so much deeper technical insight, which will make it seem to the admissions committee that you've gained and done so much research, because it's a mentor who's guiding you on it, right? So that's the ultimate advantage that Gradvine gives you. If you want to reach out to us for our paid services, you can do that first through a free consultation call. All right, I have a GPA of 8.7 from Tier 3, IELTS 7, applied to ASU, NEU Boston, admitted, UMass Amherst, NYU Tandon for MS and CS, fall 2026. Which one should I go for? I think you can get into better ones. NEU, ASU, you will get in. NYU also should work out. UMass might work out. Out of the ones that you applied, UMass is the best bet, but I really would want to apply to more places, more better places as well, which can give you and they don't need to be specifically more expensive. Now that you've gotten to NEU, then you just might as well spend a little bit of time and money and apply to better ones, right? University of Chicago asks in their application how the applicant will cover the tuition fees. What are we supposed to fill in that? There should be a drop down box that they should put in. So typical answers will be personal funds, loan or scholarships, external scholarships. You wouldn't want to put in external scholarships because you don't want to send the message that if you don't get a scholarship, you won't be able to attend. That will weigh into your admission decision. So you can either put in an education loan or personal funds. If it's in a drop down box, select the appropriate thing. If not, type it out. Hello, what's the market outlook for MS in finance students going for spring 2026? I have 5 year experience from not from any big four, but from my uncle's firm in statutory audit in and out. What's your opinion? Look, honestly, if you're going for Kuni Baruch, then I think you should be by and large fine. Location is great, reputation is solid, and finance I always recommend to people with prior experience. Even if it's not from a big four, if you've done meaningful work, I think you will be absolutely fine. I would go for it. Honestly, if you want to do an MS in finance in the US, um, and that is a big if, right? It depends on a lot of factors. There should be reasons why you want to do an MS in finance or kind of career growth. If you're asking me, will the university enhance my prospects and give me a good shot of securing a job? The answer is yes, right? All right. Many universities I'm targeting are providing English proficiency test waivers if I submit a certificate of a medium instruction certificate in English. Would it affect my admission chances? No. If it is in the university's policy to offer you that waiver, then it is not going to be a problem whatsoever. You can very happily submit it, and it will not bear any negative effect on your admission chances. All right, guys. I am going to halt this live now because I have to hop on to a couple of other meetings. I'm sorry if I could not get into some of your questions, but once again, the free consultation call option is available for you to do that and ask your questions one on one, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. You can schedule that call at a time of your convenience. The only request that we have from our end is that you show up for that call. Until then, I hope this live was useful. We'll try and come back again in 2 weeks time, hopefully. If not, we'll try and do a voice chat on the WhatsApp communities. Again, we are not very active on the WhatsApp communities as well because we simply don't have the time or the bandwidth to give there, considering the number of paying customers we have that we have to serve at this point in time. So most of our interactions might be on YouTube itself. So we'll see you either next Sunday or the Sunday after that. The announcement will be on our YouTube channel. So if you subscribe and hit the bell icon, you'll get a notification. I don't know if bell icons are a thing still, but probably if it exists, please hit it, and you will probably get a notification. Or on my LinkedIn, there will be an announcement as well, right? So thank you for joining in. I hope this was useful, and all